Dear participants, a very good morning to one and all. Uh, Department of ECE welcome you all to the third day sessions of AICT Atal sponsored 5-day online faculty development program on advances in sensor technology AST 2020. Today we are having Mr. K. Bapuji sir, CEO of Appleton Innovations with us. The topic of today's session is IoT, Internet of Things. Now I request Mr. S. Sandeep to introduce speaker to the participants. Handed over.
Thank you, madam.
Over to Sandeep.
Thank you, ma'am.
Very good morning to one and all. In fact, I take the privilege of introducing Bapuji sir. Bapuji sir is we cannot say like he's an outsider. He's an insider as such. In our inaugural also, Sartha ma'am has mentioned that only. Under the guidance of Bapuji sir, for the last 3 to 4 years, our department, we are conducting so many activities. He conducted so many trainings also. So, in fact, some of you people would have already listened to his lectures, or if you have attended his sessions and all. So now I would like to take the privilege of introducing Bapuji sir. He's an IIT Mumbai graduate. He's a technical trainer on Internet of Things. He worked in KV Engineer Infrastructure Private Limited, Satyam Bairaju Foundations as a project head for 6 years. He worked on an innovative project, Ashwini Wireless Long Distance Network, in collaboration with IIT Kanpur Computer Science Department. He's having over more than 10 years of experience in Internet of Things research and training. He's a founder and director of Appleton Innovations. He designed and developed his own IoT board with a trademark named as Qubits, and he has developed software packages for AHP using MATLAB and Scilab, and it is you can also access that in the IIT Mumbai site. Shortly I'll share you that site in the chat box, and even we also signed an MOU with sir, and we are also running a technical hub in our Dwarka Nagar campus. Where we have started a skill development center where sir is only the resource person for that. So now I don't want to waste much of his time. Actually, today morning when I get up, I'm wondering the session would have been nice if there is an hands-on, but due to the limitations that we all cannot meet together, so we are conducting this in an online mode. So I'm just thinking like that. Suddenly I got a message from sir telling that today we'll be having 50% of hands-on session. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I hope our participants will enjoy that. And over to you, sir. I don't want to waste much of your time. And thank you very much for accepting our invitation to be as a resource person for this FDP, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sandeep, sir. Thank you, Krishnaveni, madam. And thank you
Welcome,
management for giving me this opportunity to share and to discuss and to go in deep into how we can connect our smart sensors to the Internet of Things. So we are going to discuss, and we will try to understand how we can connect and get more useful insights. Okay, that is our agenda
sir,
today.
Excuse me.
So I'll be sharing my screen, right?
Okay. Sir, 1 minute. Sir. Can you please enable your cam, sir, if it is possible?
Yeah, I'll be sharing my cam at the end of the session.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Right. So now I would like to share my screen. Okay. So I can share entire screen, right?
Yes, sir. You can share entire screen or a specific window. Anything is fine.
Okay.
When you click on your present, you will be getting an option like, yeah, you are doing it. Yes, your entire screen.
Right.
Yes.
So
sir.
now
yes.
you can see my PowerPoint presentation, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, I can see.
Okay, fine. So all of you, so I hope you enjoyed last 2 days sessions, okay, on smart sensors. I too listen to you the lessons. So I listened to Rajalakshmi madam's lesson also yesterday, and then one person from DRDO also given about smart sensors. So you enjoyed designing MEMS-based sensors, right? So today our main agenda is how we can interface or how we can connect those smart sensors with the existing clouds or with the existing servers or maybe with your own local servers. So we're going to discuss about how we can connect to the internet so that we can leverage the benefits or the more advantages that we can get out of smart sensors. Okay, so we know that smart sensor is meant for monitoring or measuring. Okay, so maybe you are adding many circuitry, okay, so to a sensing element in order to make a smart sensor. So you discussed about all the theoretical concepts regarding designing a smart sensor, right? So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to deal with one important aspect. So the day one agenda, so I'll be having two sessions, today one session and tomorrow another session. Day one agenda will be on introduction to Internet of Things. So some of you might be already knowing what is IoT and how to play with IoT. Okay, so I'll be considering everyone in this session, means those who are expert in IoT, those who are expertised in smart sensors. So we'll be going in layman terms in order to understand more about Internet of Things and how we can connect smart sensors to the Internet of Things. Okay, that is the first thing. And second point, we are going to see two hands-on sessions today. One is reading sensor data from cloud platform into our node. Okay, I'll be taking an example here, Open Weather Map Cloud. Another one is sending sensor data to the cloud. Okay, one is to get data from cloud into our device. Another one is to send data from our device to the cloud. These are the two things we are going to do, and we are going to explore various IoT protocols for sending data from devices to the cloud or from cloud to the devices. Okay, right. So in the day two session, so it's all about enterprise cloud. So we are going to discuss about IBM. So IBM Watson IoT platform, and then we will be deploying our devices in the IBM Watson IoT platform. So I'll be showing you how you can connect your sensor to the IBM cloud platform and how you can visualize sensor data using a Node-RED UI application. This is the day two agenda. Okay, so I hope day two will be purely hands-on session. Day one will be having introductory and then a hands-on session using Python and Raspberry Pi device. Okay. So meanwhile, if you have any doubts, okay, you can ask me your questions. Okay, you can post your questions in the chat box. Okay, we can discuss. You can stop me if you want to in between. Okay, so but it is better we can discuss at the end. But if it is required, yes, you can stop, because I want to have this session as a two-way communication. Okay, I want to have two-way response in this entire session. Right. So what is IoT? So most of you know the IoT. Here I have written a simple definition. Internet of Things describes network of physical objects or things. Okay. So very simple definition. Network of physical objects means connecting things together in a network. Okay. Why we need to connect things together in a network? Or we can say things are here. Smart things. Smart things means you are actually embedding a thing with sensor and some firmware, and then you'll be adding some electronic circuitry to make a thing. Okay, here things are smart things, or we can say is a node. So all these nodes are connected together in the network so that a thing can talk to another thing. A thing can send data from one thing to other thing. So it enables data flow from one thing to another thing. So it's all about machines communicating. Okay, things here can be a motor. Motor will be talking to a motor, or a motor may be talking to moisture sensor, or moisture sensor is talking to a motor, or a door is talking to a light. Okay, so here things are anything. If you embed sensor software, and here software is a firmware, when you embed with these things, then these things will be smart so that they can communicate with other things. Okay, so this is simple concept IoT, where we are connecting things together so that they can share and exchange data. Right, so I'll be giving you simple story. Okay, so here you will see a story of IoT. So for basic understanding, so let us take a simple example. For example, here there is a person called John. Okay, so John wants planned to jog every day. So he planned, and for that he wanted to buy a shoe. So he bought a smart shoe. So here you can see a shoe in the presentation. He bought a shoe. His aim is to build his bones strong, and he wants to reduce his weight. Okay, he wants to strengthen his muscles, and he wants to burn some kilojoules. Okay, so he wants to burn some energy, and he wants to achieve weight loss also. So that is his aim. So he started jogging. Okay, so for that he purchased a smart shoe. Right, so what is a smart shoe? A smart shoe contains a smart sensor. What is a smart sensor? We know what is a smart sensor. A smart sensor will have sensing element, circuitry, maybe power source, and then some communication element. Okay, that is a smart sensor. So here, a smart shoe will contain a sensor to measure number of steps and average speed. Okay, so try to understand number of steps and average speed. So we know how to measure number of steps. Most of you know about it, right? How to measure number of steps? Can anyone please tell me what is the sensor to be used? What is the sensor to be used to find the number of steps or measure the number of steps? You want to find the step count. How to find the step count? Yes? I'm audible to all of you, right? You can type, right? Right, so I got an answer. Okay, piezoelectric sensor, right? Piezoelectric sensor, what else? So generally, yes, pressure sensors. We can talk about pressure sensors, right? So most of you know about the pressure sensors. Okay, so there are resistive-based pressure sensors are available. Okay, most of the companies today are using resistive-based pressure sensor. Okay, so we know that how a resistive-based pressure sensor works, right? So what is the principle behind a resistive pressure sensor working? Can anyone type in the chat how a resistive pressure sensor works? Yes? Right, so anyway, so we'll move forward. Okay, so how a resistive pressure sensor works is very simple. So resistive pressure sensor, we know R equal rho L by A. So I know that most of you are scholars. Okay, no need to go deep into them. But we know that when we apply some force on it, okay, on a some wire, wire take some wire, resistive wire whose resistance changes based on application of the force, then we can say that it's pressure. Because of the pressure, the resistance changes. We know that because there may be cross-sectional area change, or maybe because of elongation, there may be some change in length of the wire because of the resistance changes, right? If the resistance is changing, so directly we can say that this pressure is directly proportional to change in resistance. Okay, you can convert that change into resistance into voltage by using some instrumentation, you can use a bridge like Wheatstone bridge, and you can convert that into voltage, and you can amplify and convert that into some digital format. So using analog to digital converters. Okay, so you can do that. You can design such a circuit. So here we are using a resistive sensor to convert this number of mechanical movement, mechanical force into the voltage, so that we can find the number of steps. Okay, once the number of steps are obtained, and you can find the average speed. You listen to accelerometers and gyroscopes. Okay, so you listen to different sensors. Okay, you can measure number of steps and average speed. Once you are getting this data, okay, you are measuring this data, okay, in the smart shoe. Remember, so in the smart shoe you are collecting this data. So maybe number of steps are collected in the smart shoe, the average speed is collected in the smart shoe. Okay, for that you may be writing some program in the processor or a controller, okay, to read the data and to process the data. So means you are getting raw sensor data. So raw sensor data should be converted into useful data. So you have to convert raw data into useful data. To do that, you will be writing some program in order to do that. So whatever may be the program that you write in the processor or a controller is called as firmware. Yes or no? Right. So once you get data about number of steps and average speed in the smart shoe, what is the next step? Is it only for measuring? Okay. So remember always, smart sensors design is not just meant for monitoring. Okay, it is meant for prediction. It is meant for analytics. It is meant for getting useful insights. Okay, so we design, so the world is designing smart sensors not just for seeing the data, but to play with the data. That is a very important and essential thing we should remember. And while working on research, maybe some of you are doing some research in IoT, or maybe some of you are doing some research in smart sensor design. But if you see the government projects today, I have gone through DST portal. In DST portal, if you see, there are three applications available, right? So there are three applications now open. So if you see there, you will see one is regarding product development, one is regarding biomedical devices development. There is another storage challenge. Okay, when you see those project applications, okay, those proposals, so what we can understand, right? So it's more not just about a smart sensor or not just about Internet of Things. It's more than that. Okay, when designing an application, it should be end to end. Okay, so as you are doing a research and you are applying for DST projects and you are actually writing superb journals, maybe Scopus or SCI. See, try to understand, when you're working only on smart sensors, it is not advisable to go ahead. Okay, so our idea is not just building smart sensors, but how we can leverage, okay, how we can use these smart sensors, okay, so to benefit the society. Maybe you may be benefiting agriculture community, or maybe you are benefiting community as a whole. Okay, so there are different things we are going to discuss where you can do research, how you can actually get funding, or how you can publish papers easily. Okay, so we are going to discuss at the end of this session, but be focused on this so that you can improve your research in design and development of IoT enabled products. Okay, so remember, once data is collected, next thing is we have to send this data to the cloud. Remember, all of you, you can send this data to the cloud, or maybe you can send this data to the local server for storage. Okay, so how to send this data present in a shoe to the cloud? So to send data to the cloud, remember, cloud, where is cloud? Anyone? Where is the cloud? Where is the cloud? How to access the cloud? Yes, so some of you are from computer science, I know that, right? So anyone? What is the cloud? Right, you can type your answers in the chat box. Where is cloud? How to connect to the cloud? So we want to store some data in the cloud. So data is available in our device. So in the shoe, okay. So in the shoe you have designed is simple, smart sensor. Now we want to send data from that sensor to the cloud. So how to send the data to the cloud? So first, to understand how, first we should understand what is a cloud, right? So yeah, I'll be waiting for your message in the chat box, all of you. Some of you can type. Right. Okay. So anyway, so I'll be moving forward. Right. Very good. So I got answer right. Very nice, dear. Um, yes, Vijayal. Okay. So you have given good answer on the servers. Okay. Right. So remember, if server is connected to the internet, then we can say that is a cloud. Okay. So we can say in simple terms, but the cloud meaning is so broad. And today, if you say cloud, everything is available in the cloud. It's not just for storage. It is meant for collecting data, analyzing data, deploying applications, designing applications, maintaining your own websites, maintaining our own servers. Okay, it's all about it's not just storage. Cloud is meant supporting many things. We are going to discuss about that tomorrow. Okay, how a cloud will be supporting all these things. Okay, tomorrow I'll be showing you how IBM Cloud can be supporting different things for a researcher for deploying IoT applications. Okay, right. So remember, once data is available, as clouds are now in the internet, they are connected to the internet. So if you want to send data to the cloud somewhere in the the server may be somewhere in the other part of the world, but they are connected to the so now what we have to do is our smart shoe also should be connected to the internet. Means your smart sensor should be connected to the internet. So how to connect your smart sensor to the internet? There are different types of communication technologies today existing. So we can broadly classify connecting technologies into two categories. So what are the two categories? One category is short range, another category is long range. So I can give simple classification. So short range like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. So these are very important and useful technologies like Bluetooth and Wi-Fi for short range. Long range. So what are the communication technologies in long range? Anyone? Can you give answer? In long range. So short range connectivity technologies we have Wi-Fi, either Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, okay, and there are many, but these two are famous. What about long range wireless technologies today existing and popular? You can type in the chat. Yes. Yes. Please type in the chat. It is good. I request you all please type in the chat so that it would be very nice for recording. Okay, right. Right, internet. Okay. So see, dear Sahu, so it's all about connecting to the internet. So for connecting to the internet, there are different types of communication technologies existing today. Okay, so what are the communication technologies today existing? Okay, so short range we discussed about Wi-Fi and then Bluetooth and then Zigbee also available, but they may be directly helping us to connect to the internet. Okay, Wi-Fi will be helping us directly to the connecting to the internet. Right, very nice. Okay, yes, GSM technology, GPRS, GSM will be useful because mobile communication technology is available. We can do that. Another way you can use LoRa technology. Most of you know about LoRa for long range. Okay, and NB-IoT. Today, people are talking about NB-IoT, and then people are talking about Sigfox technology. So see, if you want to do some research in agriculture sector, if you want to apply sensor technology and IoT for agriculture sector, then I prefer you to use LoRa or Sigfox, NB-IoT. In India, we can easily deploy LoRa today because it is free and we can deploy it and you can use it for your research. Okay, so now in this example, suppose we are using Bluetooth. Remember, Bluetooth directly we are not connecting to the internet, but what we are trying to do is, so this Bluetooth connecting technology, what we are trying to do is your smart sensor will be connecting to the smartphone. Remember, smart sensor will be connecting to the smartphone through this Bluetooth. Okay, remember always, so this Bluetooth will be compatible with Bluetooth. Wi-Fi will be connecting with Wi-Fi. So in communication technologies, we cannot connect a Wi-Fi to the Bluetooth, right? We cannot connect a LoRa to directly to the Bluetooth. They are not compatible technologies. So a Wi-Fi can be connected to the Wi-Fi device. A Bluetooth device will be connected to the Bluetooth devices. Okay, so here your smartphone should have Bluetooth connectivity. If your smartphone is having Bluetooth connectivity, then your smart sensor is also having Bluetooth connectivity. Then these two devices can connect and they can share data. Okay, so that your smart sensor will be sending data about number of steps and average speed to the smartphone. Now in the smartphone, okay, there must be some application app. Okay, this app can be Android application or it can be a iOS application. This particular application, okay, designed for connecting to the smart sensor through Bluetooth and to collect data coming from smart sensor into the smartphone. Now we are getting data from smart sensor into the smartphone application. Once data is available in your phone, okay, the next step is you can connect your smartphone to the internet, because every smartphone may be having some mobile communication enabled, or maybe you have Wi-Fi connectivity. So you can use either 4G or 3G, or you can use Wi-Fi present in your smartphone to connect to the cloud. Once it is connected to the cloud, okay, then the smartphone will be sending data to the cloud. Okay, so this cloud, see, there are different clouds available. Today, there are many companies providing cloud platforms. So these, cloud platforms meant for IoT. So there are cloud platforms meant for IoT, cloud platforms meant for analytics today, and there are cloud platforms where we can do all these things. Okay, so we have to send data from this smartphone to the cloud. To send data from here to here, okay, so already cloud is in the internet and smartphone is also connected to the internet. Now to send data from here to here, remember always here the cloud, how cloud will be accepting data is important. How we have to communicate with this cloud. There are different clouds, right? So for example, ThingSpeak cloud we are going to see, AWS, Amazon Web Services cloud, IBM cloud, Microsoft Azure cloud. Okay, and Cisco is having a cloud platform. There are so many IoT cloud platforms existing today. Suppose you want to send data to a particular cloud platform securely. Okay, security is more important today in IoT devices. If you want to send data securely to a server, online server or a cloud, then so we should understand how we can send data to that particular platform. To send data over the internet, there are different types of protocols. Okay, so we are going to discuss about those protocols in detail. So what are the IoT protocols? Anyone, do you have knowledge about IoT protocols? What are the IoT protocols to send data over the internet? Okay, we know HTTP, right? So how many of you know here HTTP? So some of you are, every day we are using HTTP, right? For web communication, right? Websites will communicate through HTTP, right? And some of you are using, SMTP, okay, simple mail transfer protocol you are using, right? For sending emails, for sending HTML pages or JavaScript you are using, or JSON data you are using HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So today, most of the people are trying to use HTTP to send data from a client to the server, Yes, excellent. I got an answer from Savita. Right, very nice. So yes, the answer is perfect. MQTT. Remember all of you, HTTP is meant for web communication, but people are using it for IoT because it is simple. All computer science scholars and those who are expertise in computer science, now they are using it. Because it is easy, because already they know it. But MQTT is designed for MQTT is another IoT protocol, all of you, that is message queue telemetry transport protocol, actually designed and developed by IBM. Now it is a OASIS standard. Okay, so most of the companies today are using MQTT, okay, for IoT and M2M communication, machine to machine communication. Okay, so we are going to discuss about these two. Okay, one is HTTP, another one is MQTT. How we can communicate with the cloud using HTTP and MQTT. Remember, your devices can communicate with the cloud through HTTP, MQTT. If your device is connected to the cloud directly through the internet, it is possible. If there is here in this case, our smart shoe device having only Bluetooth, if it is having only Bluetooth, then we have to connect to the smartphone, or there must be some gateway. Okay, gateway means a local device which will be communicating with the smart shoe through the Bluetooth, and after collecting data, this gateway will be sending data to the cloud. Okay, so this is clear to you, right, all of you? So for this, I'll be explaining in simple terms. Okay, I hope all of you can see my screen. So here you have a smart shoe, all of you. This is a smart shoe. This is a smart shoe, and then here you have, Bluetooth connectivity. Suppose you don't want to use smartphone, okay, but you want to communicate data with the cloud platform, cloud. So how to communicate with the cloud directly from this smart device? Okay, smart sensor, smart shoe, okay, which is having Bluetooth. So directly we cannot communicate with the cloud. Then here we need some gateway. So remember, gateway will be having different communication technology support. Maybe for example, here it may be having Bluetooth support, and here Wi-Fi support. Maybe it is having some Ethernet support. So in this case, what we will try to do is this smart shoe will be sending data to this particular gateway. Okay, so this gateway and smart shoe are connecting through Bluetooth technology, because already your gateway is supporting Bluetooth. Okay, and smart shoe is also having Bluetooth. Now these two will be connected through Bluetooth. Now once gateway receives the data, in gateway you can do some processing. So sometimes gateways are also can be used as edge devices. Edge devices. Edge device means where you can do some computing, processing. Okay, you can filter, you can do a lot of things. So a gateway plus edge device can be combined together, where you can collect data and you can process locally. Okay, when we need to do this, edge computing, when we require edge computing. See, cloud is costly sometimes. Cloud is costly sometimes. And data transfer, we have to pay for data transfer, right? Maybe you are using internet. Okay, internet for, over the internet, if you want to send data from this smart, device to the cloud, yes, we need some, data, to be transferred over the internet. Maybe you are transferring MBs or maybe KBs of data, then no problem. It is fine. But instead of using smart shoe, here you are using doorbell design, doorbell, video doorbell. If you are using a video doorbell, okay, this video doorbell will take photographs and will try to send those photographs to the cloud. Okay, so in such case, no need to send all the photographs to the cloud, right? So here it has to process in the edge device. After processing, then only we have to send that data to the cloud. Otherwise, you may be sending all the data to the cloud for processing. Okay, so for sending data to the cloud, we have to pay, and for processing, we have to pay in the cloud. At the same time, okay, so for storage, we have to pay. So this may be sometimes costly if you want to use enterprise clouds. That's why people are preferring to use local edge device, okay, on their own in their local facility, and they will try to process the data. Okay, once they are having processed data, then they will be transferring the data to the cloud. Okay, so gateway and edge devices will help us doing that. Okay, is that clear to you, all of you? So here gateway is one way, is a translator. Okay, it will be a translator which will be translating, translating Bluetooth to the internet, connectivity. So here you'll be having a gateway, right? So this is one simple thing we should understand while designing products. Another way is, so we'll be discussing about long range technologies. When you are talking about long range technologies, all of you remember, gateways are very necessary. Long range technology, wireless technologies like LoRa or Sigfox, NB-IoT. because they are supporting about 5 kilometers to 15 kilometers. Okay, so they are very useful. So in such case also you need to have a gateway, okay, in designing IoT products. I hope you understand what is IoT. So once data is available in the cloud, then what we can do with this data, that's important, all of you. Collecting data is one thing, analyzing and then applying machine learning algorithms for prediction is another important task. Okay, so far you may be doing this. Okay, some of you are doing this in your research, but most of you are not from computer science background, so you are not applying some machine learning analytics, right? How many of you are trying to apply machine learning or some algorithms to analyze data here? So anyone is trying to analyze data here? Yeah, anyone? Are you adding some analytics for your research here in this class? Not it, right? Okay, so my suggestion is, okay, so if you want to design end-to-end product, okay, don't stop at collecting data. Okay, so most of the IEEE papers today, or maybe yes, Ganesh, yes. So you want to say something? You want to type something? You can do that. Right.
No,
So
sir. Thanks, sir.
yeah, thank you. So right, so we understood what is IoT product development. Okay, what are the stages? So the stages is first smart sensor design, only the first stage. The core is designing smart sensor. Okay, that is a first thing. Once it is designed, then we should know how to connect it to the network and then to the cloud. We understood it, right, all of you? So this is called node design. So in the node design, so we can say this is smart sensor design also, okay, because in smart sensor design also we require a processor or a controller, some circuitry like you may be requiring bridges, or maybe some converting this sensing value into voltage. You may be using some circuit, okay, so some conversion element, you may be using some transducer for doing that. After that, you may be amplifying, you may be requiring a circuit. Once amplified, you may be converting that into digital, because controller or a processor can understand only digital. So you may be using some analog to digital converter. Okay, so you'll be using everything together to design a node. Okay, so in your case, it is a smart sensor. Remember, smart sensors also will have connectivity. So today, there are companies who are producing smart sensors. Okay, right, so this is a sensor node. So here you'll be having a sensor, microcontroller or a microprocessor based circuitry, and then you'll be having some connecting technologies. All these three together can be a sensor node, or it can be a smart sensor, because you are reducing the size, you are reducing the power, and you are increasing the lifetime by using fabrication technology, MEMS technology. Most of you are trying to make it compact so that you can reduce the power. When you reduce the power, battery lifetime is increasing. So these sensors are more preferred today, okay, because they provide ready-made output, right, all of you? These sensors are providing ready-made output. So here you may be having sensors, ADC, signal processing, and you may be having some communication, either it is electrical or optical, right? So once you have everything together, so you require some power. So generally we use batteries to provide the power. Remember, once you design a smart sensor, at least it should provide 3 to 6 years continuous power on the battery. Okay, so without recharging it. Okay, is that possible? Yes, it is possible today, because there are miniature sensors available today. Okay, with low power, wireless communication also available today. Okay, so because we don't know where we are going to deploy them. Okay, one application we are trying to do, we are doing continuous research. For recently we started doing research, all of you. So that research is on post-harvest losses reduction. Post-harvest losses reduction. Okay, so some of you are talking about sensors in the previous sessions, gas sensors and sensor arrays. Okay, to measure volatile contents, okay, gas contents. So you discussed about that. So remember, so you can design and develop such products, okay, because India, if you see, there are 30 to 50% losses in the post harvest product. why onion prices increased? Have you ever studied? Okay, so because as a research scholars and postdoc, people, we need to do some analysis, and there are many societal problems. So how many of you are doing research in that? Okay, so minimizing post-harvest losses is one of the prime focus, which is linked to agriculture policy released by our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi. We know that, right? So all of you know and believe that, right? So my suggestion is do some research in that. Okay, you will get good funding, and even you will be appraised for that. Okay, right. So now we will we'll start some hands-on, because almost it is 10:44. So we'll go with the hands-on session, because you are listening theory. I have much to say, but I'll be stopping here in theory session, all of you. So because there are many slides to explain. Okay, so I'll be stopping theory here. Okay, so while doing practicals, I'll be showing you step by step. Okay, right. So everyone is seeing my screen. So I'll be logging into my Raspberry Pi. So this is my Raspberry Pi screen, all of you. So I'll be using here Raspberry Pi, remember. So what I'm trying to do here. So I'll be explaining to all of you what I'm trying to do here. So I'll be trying to read data from the cloud. So suppose you have a cloud platform. Okay, so here we have an Open Weather Map cloud platform. So I'll be using Open Weather Map cloud platform for doing that. Okay, so I'll be explaining you how I'm going to do. This is your Raspberry Pi. Yes, sir.
Sir, actually,
Yes.
some of us are having Raspberry Pi module physically with us. So if you can tell the procedure how to connect it, our people can connect, sir.
Right,
It'll
nice.
be easy.
Okay. See, all of you. So to connect your, currently I'm working with my computer. So my computer is connected with Raspberry Pi, okay, by using virtual networking computing application here. So VNC. So I'll be using here VNC, all of you. So VNC, I have connected my Raspberry Pi. So all of you, please open your Raspberry Pi. Have you connected your Raspberry Pi to your computer? Have you done that? Let me know once you are connected your Raspberry
Yes, sir, it is
Pi to the
connected.
computer. Okay. So once
Maybe
you give
others
the
might have connected. Participants, if you're having Raspberry Pis, anything with you, can connect it.
see, all of you, how to connect your Raspberry Pi. It's very simple. So this is your Raspberry Pi, RPI. So you can connect to your computer also. Okay, suppose you connect with your local Wi-Fi. For example, you are using Wi-Fi connection. Use the same Wi-Fi to the Raspberry Pi and to the computer or laptop. Then you need to install VNC here. VNC, okay, so that you can virtually connect to this Raspberry Pi. You can work with this Raspberry Pi virtually from your computer or a laptop. So what I'm trying to do is, so I am sitting at my computer and I'll be working with my Raspberry Pi to design and develop this particular application. Okay, to do this you have to enable VNC also here. You have to enable VNC in your Raspberry Pi. So in general it is enabled. Okay, if you want to check whether it is enabled or not, you can see here there is an icon. Can you see this icon, all of you? So VNC. Okay, so if it is connected, it will be in a dark color. Okay, if it is not connected, it won't show dark color here. There is an icon in the Raspberry Pi desktop. All of you can see this is the Raspberry Pi desktop, all of you. So this is the Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi is having pre-built Node-RED, is for IoT programming. Is a wire, it's a very simple wiring program. Anyone can use because it is a flow based, and you have Python, IDLES, Scratch programming, Sensor Hat Emulator, and Tony Python IDLE. So this is meant for scientific computing. Remember, all of you, Raspberry Pi is meant for scientific computing. It is more useful for the students, researchers, and the professors. Okay, this is very useful because you can design and develop any IoT product. Even you can design a gateway. Suppose you want to you are planning to design a gateway. Yes, you can design a node. It is perfect for node. It is perfect for gateway. Okay, because it is Raspberry Pi is having Bluetooth. Bluetooth is having Wi-Fi. It is having Ethernet. So there are three connecting technologies it is having. Okay, so and you can add additionally some connecting technologies to this Raspberry Pi. Okay, you can do that. So I hope all of you are ready with Raspberry Pi, right? So I'll be moving forward, all of you. So in the first application, we are doing simple application. Try to understand this. So we want to read some data available in Open Weather Map into my Raspberry Pi for designing a smart umbrella system. Okay, so this is Open Weather Map. So I'll be opening Open Weather Map, all of you. Open Weather Map. So please open Open Weather Map. So you have to log in into this Open Weather Map. Okay, but it will take some time for you to sign in. So if you want to sign in here, you will see already I am in, I have signed in. So this is where you will see here, create an account. So if you want to create an account, you have to click here to create an account, all of you. Okay, so I'll be showing you how to create an account. So create new account, you have to give username, your email ID, give the password and repeat the password. And you have to, you have to check these boxes here. Okay, please complete that and complete the sign up process. Once you complete the sign up process, okay, so it will take some time for you. Okay, but try to remember this procedure, all of you. Okay. For you, I'll be giving my APIs so that you can do that, but later on don't use them, okay, because those are my secret keys. Okay, so now I'll be signing in. So once you sign in, this is Open Weather Map. So what is Open Weather Map? So Open Weather is a cloud platform. So this cloud platform is maintaining data of different weather stations. Okay, for example, Vizag weather station, Gajuwaka weather station, Kakinada weather station, maybe maybe I don't know whether Rishikonda has this data on, I don't know. So Vijayanagaram, Bobili. So you will find for different cities, Hyderabad. So it is giving data about different cities. Thousands of cities are available. So how it is doing? So remember, this particular weather station is having. This is Open Weather Map. So this is collecting data from different weather stations. There are different weather stations, weather station 1, 2, 1, weather station 1, 2, weather station 3. So likewise, there are weather stations in the world. So this Open Weather Map will be collecting data from all these weather stations. Now this Open Weather Map will be maintaining data about all these weather stations. Okay, now the data, collected data is available with Open Weather Map. So now as a researcher, okay, you want to design some application for agriculture, but you cannot buy, because you don't have much money or you don't have much support for buying sensors, all the sensors. Now you want to use existing sensors. So Open Weather Map provides existing sensor data, right? Try to understand existing sensor data. So for example, this will be very useful for designing weather-based IoT products, okay, for farmers, and it is useful for cities and villages for doing some optimization, and it is useful for farming. It is useful for smart gardens. Okay, so data is available in Open Weather Map. Now you have Raspberry Pi. We want to read the data into Raspberry Pi. Okay, how to get data available in this cloud into Raspberry Pi? So first thing, this cloud is in internet. Means your Raspberry Pi is connected to the internet. So you can connect your Raspberry Pi to internet through either Wi-Fi, or you can use Ethernet, all of you. You can use Ethernet. Once your Raspberry Pi is connected to Wi-Fi or Ethernet, okay, so your Wi-Fi or Ethernet should support internet. If there is no internet access, then we cannot do that, right? So there must be some internet facility. Maybe you should have Wi-Fi router, or there must be some Ethernet modem to provide internet to your Raspberry Pi. Once internet is available to your Raspberry Pi, the next step is to establish a connection between these two. Okay, so this is called as client server. Here Raspberry Pi is a client, your device is a client, and Raspberry Pi is a server. So we want to establish client server connection. Remember, all of you, we want to establish client server connection. So for establishing client server connection, we can use HTTP, remember protocol. So today we are talking about HTTP, tomorrow we'll be seeing about MQTT. Okay, so by using HTTP, we can establish communication between client and the server, based between Raspberry Pi and Open Weather Map. Okay, so this is clear to you, right? So what are the steps to be followed? Step one. What is the step one, all of you? Step one, internet connection. Step two, connecting to the cloud. Step three, sending data, transferring data. Okay, getting data. Okay, try to understand. So step one, internet connectivity. Step two, cloud connection, cloud connectivity. Step three, sending data or receiving data. These are the steps to be followed. For doing this, we'll be using Python program. We'll be using Python program to write the firmware program. So we'll be writing Python program for sending or receiving data, and at the same time for cloud connection. These two we are doing by using Python program. Okay, so I'll be showing you, all of you, how to open and write the Python program now. Okay, is this so what we are trying to do today? Right, so I'll be showing you my all of you, please open terminal. This is your terminal. So click here. When you open this, you will see the terminal, Linux terminal. This is the Linux terminal, all of you, because Raspberry Pi is purely works with Raspbian OS. Raspbian is derived from Debian. Debian is a Linux based OS. So we'll be using that particular OS here, okay, in Raspberry Pi. So we have here a terminal like a command prompt. So in your Windows, you have a command prompt. So here it is a Linux terminal. So we have to work with a Linux terminal here. It is better and always good in Linux to use terminal to work with the files, to create the file, to run the file. Okay, it will be very useful, all of you. Okay, so have you opened your file, all of you? Right? Have you opened your Linux terminal? Done? Yes? So all of you are following, right? Are you following this? See, all of you, if you want to connect your Raspberry Pi directly to your computer, so there is a question. Can I connect Raspberry Pi directly to the system and use, the system directly, how to code using a computer? Okay, so you want to connect Raspberry Pi directly to the computer, but see, remember, you need to have Ethernet. Okay, to do that, you have to use Ethernet cable. And and then you need to have a tool called as PuTTY to connect through SSH. Okay, so you need to install some tools in order to do that. Okay, otherwise you have to go with the VNC. Right. So please check here whether your internet is connected. You can check here. This is mine is connected to my Appleton router. So you can see here Wi-Fi connections, all of you. Okay. So as you are most of you from EC background, I'll be showing you here. You can do that in terminal also. Okay, so I'll be showing you first how to create a Python program. Okay, so how to create a Python program. To create a Python program, open the terminal. So I have increased the size of the terminal here so that you can view. So to increase the size, you can use here zoom in, zoom out. Right. So to create a new Python program through the terminal, so you have to use a editor called as Nano. So here Nano is the editor. You can create different files by using Nano editor, all of you. Okay, Nano space. So GVP project, GVP1. So I'll be creating first project GVP1.py. Here py is the Python extension. Okay, Nano space GVP1.py. So I'll be creating a new file with name GVP1 and extension .py. So .py indicates Python file. Okay, now press enter. Once you press enter, now you will see GNU Nano 2.7.4. This is the version of my editor, and file name GVP1.py. So I'll be typing my program here. Okay, so here it is very difficult to copy paste and all, but don't worry, because it is you can't do Control C and Control A control V here, okay, but you can use different things here. You can use the mouse or you can use shortcuts here. There are different keys, used to do that. So I'll be showing you first how to write a program here. Okay, all of you. Is that clear to you? Right, I don't know, all of you are following, right? So first thing is I'll be writing a simple Python program, okay, print hello. So as it is a string, keep it in, double quotes. So simple print hello GVB. Okay, then, once you type your program, so I have written here one single line. Now we have to save this program. To save this program, we have to type here Control O. So to write out, we have to use Control O. So please type here Control O. When you press Control O, file name to write gvp1.py. Yes, we have to press enter here. Okay, now I have saved the file. Now I have to terminate this from this program and I have to enter into the Linux terminal. To do that, press Control X. Right. So now you can check the file contents. So the file contents by using cat. So this is actual program that you have written, print hello GVP. Now we want to run this program. Okay, to run this program, now you have to use Python. So we want to run this in the Python environment. So Python space gvp1.py. Okay, run this program. Now you will see that hello.gvp. So this is what we have printed. So hello.gvp. Right, so I'll be editing this program again. Open this program. Now I want to print continuously hello GVP with some time delay. So we know that how to create infinite loop. All of you, how to create infinite loop? So very simple. You can use while to create infinite loop, while true. Okay, so you can use while true in order to create infinite loop, while true. Okay, so now Control O and press enter, Control X, run this program. Now you will see that continuously hello GVP will be printed, right? So you can see that continuously we are printing. Remember, always we need to create infinite loops in order to send data continuously or to receive data continuously. Most of the time, as we are working with the sensors, okay, so our sensor should send data continuously to the cloud, maybe with some delay. Okay, so in embedded systems we use and we create infinite loops. Remember that. Okay, even in Arduino programming or Python programming or JavaScript. So if you go, if you take any program that you are writing for embedded systems, then it should be written in the loop. Okay, so it is very easy to create loop by using while. Okay, I'll be stopping this. Press here Control C to stop this program. To stop this loop, all of you. Once you do this, now the next step. Right. So how to give the delay? Remember to give the delay. So for example, every 1 second I want to print this hello GVP. To print every 1 second hello GVP. To do that, we need to provide some delay. There is a module called as time module. So in the time module, so here the modules are simply libraries. In C we have a libraries, right? You generally include on the top of the program, like hash include, stdio.h, hash include math.h. Those are all headers, right? Where you are trying to include the libraries, right? C libraries. So in C, C++, you try to use hash include in order to include the libraries. In Python also, there are so many libraries. The advantage with the Python is there are many libraries you can use and play with for embedded systems, machine learning, IoT, and for analytics, data science, artificial intelligence, deep learning. There are many libraries built with Python. So if you are not yet familiar with Python, please try to explore Python for your specific application. Okay, so we are going to use one library. What is that library, all of you? So that library is it's a very simple time module. So you can search over internet to know more about this time module Python. So I'll be giving you all these references to you so that you can learn more. Okay, this is actually time module. In this you will see sleep. Okay, sleep is a method. When you see this sleep method, okay, sleep will take seconds. Okay, So it will suspend execution of calling thread for the given number of seconds. Means it will provide delay for the given seconds. Okay, you can provide anything. So how to do this? How to include that? So to include this, what you have to do is use import. So in Python, we use import. I'll be importing time. So time is the name of the module. So we have to include here the name of the module. So this is the time is the name of the module. And this is the import. So import space time. Okay, once you do this, the next step is time.sleep. Time.sleep. So sleep is the method. Remember, module, what is a module? So first, some of you may be getting doubts. What is a library? Okay, library will be containing classes, will be containing methods or functions, will be containing some variables. Okay, collection of all these for doing a specific task is called as a library or a here module. Okay, here Python module will be having classes, functions. Functions in Python generally we call it as a methods. Okay, and then some variables. Okay, so time.sleep here, sleep is a function or a method. Okay, so we'll be using this for providing delay. It will stop execution of the program for the given number of seconds. So for example, I am passing here 1 second as a parameter. So when you pass 1 second as a parameter, this program will stop for every 1 second. Okay, it will wait for 1 second. Okay, now save this by using Control O and press enter, Control X, run this program again. Now you can see the delay, right? So now you can see that after every 1 second, you will see hello GVP is printed. Right, all of you? So I hope this is clear to you, right? So you can try this in your Raspberry Pi also, right? So next we are going to go with our real, project. So we have here, once you log in, once you're ready, okay. So now here you will see new products, services, API keys, billing plans, payments, block logs, my orders, my profile. Here, our required thing is API keys. Click on API keys. When you click on API keys, you will see here your key. Okay, this is your key. So I'll be using this key. Okay, if you don't have keys, okay, please try to use this, but better you create your own. Okay, this is my API key I'll be using. You can create your own if time permits. Okay, all of you, this is API key. And now go to APIs, So there are different APIs. What is API? Some of you may be getting doubts. What is an API? Okay, so remember here Open Weather Map is having data, right? Now this data can be accessed securely by the clients. Clients can get the data. How a client can get the data? So this is Open Weather Map, and this Open Weather Map wants to give data. And there are clients here. Here this is a client, that is Raspberry Pi. And this Raspberry Pi wants to get data. So what data you want to get? So you want to get current city weather information. Current weather data of a particular city we want to get from Open Weather Map into Raspberry Pi. To get current weather data of a particular city from this Open Weather Map, so Open Weather Map is already having APIs to give away data. Okay, so API means the way by which a client can access data from the cloud securely. Okay, remember, what is an API? API generally is an application programming interface. So these application programming interfaces are very specific to the particular cloud, but in general, they are very same in structure. Okay, so generally these are all REST APIs, representational state transfer APIs. They work with HTTP. All of you. So APIs, what are APIs? APIs are the way by which a client can access data from Open Weather Map, so or from a cloud. So clouds will create these APIs. Remember, cloud will create these APIs to give the data to the clients, to the applications. Remember, application programming interface means with this particular open weather map, a client means a application can talk, a device can talk to open weather map to get some data present in open weather map into the client. Okay, that is application programming interface. Okay, so every cloud will design their own API calls. So open weather map is also having these APIs. This is called, here you will see weather API. So current weather data, suppose you want to get current weather data, hourly forecast, 4 days. So every single information, for example, current weather data is having API, hourly forecast 4 days is having API. So every company is having APIs. Remember, all of you. For example, Facebook is having APIs. Twitter is having APIs. Even WhatsApp is having APIs. Okay, so you say any big company, they are maintaining APIs so that the developers can work. Okay, Facebook, when you see the Facebook, we know just to post and see the videos and do something. But if you want to do some analysis, who is going to win in USA, you want to do some analysis. For doing that analysis, you want to get posts, Facebook posts, how to get Facebook posts into your computer for analysis, real-time posts, real-time feeds, how to get. So to give the data to the users, Facebook maintains APIs, Twitter maintains APIs. Okay, so even you are seeing many applications in your mobile phone, weather applications, news applications. There are many news applications today available. How those news applications are working? They are purely based on. So for example, I don't know much about news APIs. Can anyone tell me the news API by which we can use you can get all the news into a single platform? Any news platform available today? I don't know because I'm not much only I follow Google News, and that's what I do. Anyone, can you say any example for news platform today? Any news platform giving all the news of Enadu News, Andhra Jyoti News, Hindu News, Times of India? See, okay, Daily Hunt. So how you will be getting all the news into one single or Daily Hunt, or maybe into a single application? Remember, Enadu, maybe some big companies. Okay, if you say big companies, they're having their own APIs. Okay, so we can use those APIs into our application. Okay, so that you can get those news into your application. You can get information from all the news channels into, for example, you are maintaining a tech news platform. You are designing a tech news application. So tech news means you want to get only tech news from all the newspapers. So you can use APIs to get that. Okay, right. So same way here, Open Weather Map will be providing this. So click on here API doc. When you click on API doc, call current weather data for one location. Suppose you want to get by city name, how to get by using city name. This is already given by the Open Weather Map. Without having API call, we cannot make a call, because this should be specified by the cloud. Okay, so the company who are maintaining the data. So this Open Weather Map is maintaining data, so they are providing this API. api.openweathermap.org/data/2.5/weather?. So up to this is called as path, all of you, path of the resource where you have the data. And then after that you have a question mark. So you'll be having two queries. These are called as query parameters. There are two queries. One is Q is equal to city, and these two queries are combined with a ampersand symbol, or you can say and symbol. So we have two queries, two parameters. One is Q, that is city, and app ID. Here we have to provide API key. Remember, API key will help you to access Open Weather Map, and city will help you to query weather data for a particular city. Okay, so this is my API key. So all of you, this is my API call, https://api.openweathermap. So I'll be posting this in chart, so you can see this. Okay, you can click and see the data. All of you can see the data. Okay, when you click on the link, you will get the data. Okay, so yes, if you have your own, you can create this particular link. How to create this link? So remember, up to question mark, everything is same. Now Q is equal to, here I have given Paris, but give something Bobili, right? So and app ID. Now you can see in Bobili clear sky, stations and everything. India, Bobbili. You will see data, temperature, feels like temperature minimum, temperature maximum, pressure, humidity, sea level, ground level, visibility, wind speed, wind direction, clouds. There are no clouds now in Bobbili. So you can change the city here. After Q, you have to give city name and app ID is equal to. So here, this particular is the key, API key. Okay, you have to give here API key, all of you, your own API key. So you got that API key here, right? Already have shown where to get API key. So here you will be getting API key. So my API keys. So you'll be getting this particular here API key. So I'll be using my API key here. You can use your own API key here. Okay. So once you paste this entire link and press enter, what we are trying to do, okay, what exactly we are doing, right? What you're trying to do, all of you, once you paste this particular URL, this is called as API call, and press enter, what exactly we are doing is through this browser. Here, this is a browser. I'm using here Firefox browser. Okay, how I am using my Firefox browser? All of you, please do this. Open your Firefox browser, paste this URL and press enter, and you should get this response. This is called as JSON response, JavaScript object notation, data format. Okay, you can see here raw data. This is the raw data. If you are using Chrome browser, you will get this raw data. Okay, but for me, you will get this pretty print. When you click on pretty print, I'll be getting this. But most of you may not be getting this JSON in your Chrome browsers. Right. So once you study this particular link, all of you, you will see about temperature, and then humidity. All weather parameters are available in this data. Okay, so this is called as HTTP request. We made a HTTP request. Here the browser is the client. Remember, all of you, here the browser is the client. Okay, try to understand here. What is the client here? The browser is a client. So from the browser, I am making request to the Open Weather Map cloud. So here the browser, this is the cloud Open Weather Map. So in the browser, I have pasted the URL, right? That is the API call. And when I press enter, I'm making actually request. That request is called GET request. In HTTP, there are different methods. Here, if you are using the browser, that is called as GET request, HTTP GET. Through HTTP GET, your browser is making a request to the Open Weather Map. And Open Weather Map will be sending response. Once response is received in the browser, then browser will be displaying that response. That is JSON response. We are seeing JSON response, raw data. So once you get this response, then only you'll be seeing that. Otherwise, you won't see that yet. For example, I give some city. For example, instead of using Bobbili, I'll be giving some unknown city. Okay, I don't know whether it is existing for Isuka Tota, I don't know. So but the city is not available, right? We are not getting data from this, for this. Why? Because, city not found, Isuka Tota is not available. Okay, the city's name is not available. Okay, so it's based on your requirement. Okay, it's all about, the data you can see. This is the response, all of you. This is what we are seeing is the response. Okay, is this clear to you, all of you? So all of you tried it, right? Now can we try this through the Python program? So instead of using the browser, we are writing a Python program in Raspberry Pi to make this GET request. Try to understand. We made a GET request through the browser, but instead of using the browser, we want to use our own Python application in Raspberry Pi so that it has to make a request, that is GET request, HTTP GET request, and it has to get the data back into our Raspberry Pi. Okay, right. So open your program, all of you. So here we have the program. Now we are using here HTTP. Remember, HTTP GET request we have used. There are different methods like GET, PUT, POST. Okay, so here the simple, very easy to understand and learn is GET request. So to use GET request, we need to use some libraries. There are few libraries, URL lib, HTTP lib, and then we have request module, So request module is very well documented and being used by most of the people. So we'll be using a request module, all of you. Import requests. So import requests, so we'll be using this library. So this library is for HTTP. So you can see more about this library here. So request Python module, Python request module. Okay, you can see about this HTTP for humans. This is, simple title is HTTP for humans. This is a request module. Okay, so you can read more details about this HTTP. Okay, so there is a very good, documentation is available over the internet. Right. So we'll be using this import request. If you don't have this library, you have to install all of you. See, this library is not, default available with your Python. You have to install this library. How to install? To install, okay, use pip sudo pip install requests, requests. So requests. So you have to use this request library. Already I have installed this. So it will be saying already it is satisfied. It will take some time for, so requirement already satisfied. Okay, it is already available for in my computer, in my Raspberry Pi. So if you don't have this, you have to install by using this. Okay. Right. So I'll be typing that in. Anyone trying, please let me know. Otherwise, I will go somewhat faster, So this is the, command you should use to install. Right. So requests, and now we need the URL, all of you. URL construction is very important. So we need the URL. URL is equal to take the variable URL. So it is a string variable. So we want to save the, we want to use this URL. We have to make request for this particular URL. So I'll be changing this to some Gajuaka. So take this URL. Okay, so in double quotes, remember always URLs are always strings. So we have to keep that in double quotes. We have to keep that in double quotes. So this is our URL, all of you. HTTP in double quotes, we have to give all the link. You simply copy and paste here by using your mouse. Okay, https://API. So this is my link. I have pasted here. After that, the next step is once you have the URL, what is the next step, all of you? What is the next step? You have to make the request. How to make the request? Simple. Get request, HTTP get. So to make the HTTP get request, request dot get URL. You have to pass here the URL. So request dot get URL, and you'll be getting the response, and we have to store that response in some object. So I'll be storing that in R. R is equal to request.get. Here get is the method, and we have to pass here the URL. So this is the URL we are passing. Okay, so once you pass this URL, once this makes a request for this particular URL to this open weather map, then the response will be available. If the response is available, that response will be available in R. We are storing that response in R. So we'll be printing that R, all of you, the response here, print R. Okay, once you print R, you will get the status code. So I'll be running this, save this, and run this. So yes, response, you will be seeing here response 200, right? All of you can see here response 200. What is the response 200? So here response 200 is HTTP status code. So 200 means your request is successful. Okay, you can see more about HTTP codes. HTTP code 200, that is for success, all of you. HTTP code 200 OK success status response code indicates that the request has succeeded. Okay, so you can see more about this. So means we are able to get the response, but we want to see what is the response. Okay, so to see that, again, modify the program. So take an object S because we are receiving the response in JSON format. So we have to convert that into Python object, all of you. JSON object should be converted into Python object. To do that, we'll be taking S equal to, S is another object, Python object, S equal to R dot JSON. So this particular will convert the JSON data into Python object, and we'll be storing that in S. Okay, and then now you can print S here, print S. Run this program. Now you are seeing this response. All of you can see this response. Can you see this response, all of you? Clouds, you all, Gajuwaka, visibility, weather. So all the parameters are available here. Can you see these all parameters? Humidity, pressure, temp min, temp max. So all of you can observe that we are getting that response into our Raspberry Pi. Can you see this, all of you? Can you observe this? Right? Can you see this response, all of you? The same response that we are getting here in this, So the same response we are getting. Now, how to separate the parameters? Now we want to get temperature and humidity separately, okay, because you want to play with temperature and humidity, or you want to play with the wind speed, okay. So you can use any parameters. So to use the parameters, so from the entire response, we have to separate these parameters. How to separate these parameters? Okay, so remember this is in dictionary format. Okay, I'll be stopping this loop. Now go to this program. So once you go to this program, this is a dictionary. Remember, all of you, this is in a dictionary format. So now we want to access the values. So what is a dictionary? So in Python dictionaries, so some of you know what is a Python dictionary here. If you don't know, just see here simple structure of Python dictionary, all of you. So Python dictionary will start with curly bracket and end with curly bracket, and a dictionary will contain a key value pairs. So temp is a key, and value here maybe some 32. This is a one key value pair. Another key value pair can be humid, 70. This is another key value pair. So here temp is key, 32 is the value, HEMD is the key, and value is 70. So likewise, we will have key value pairs. Sometimes, the key value, so these key value pairs should be separated with comma. Okay, you have to separate with comma. So these key value pairs, maybe it may be having a list also. Inside of a dictionary, you may be having a list, or maybe you may be having another dictionary, because a dictionary may contain inside another dictionary. Okay, so this is about dictionaries. How to access values in the dictionary? Because in the entire that we got as a response, so we want to we are interested in temperature and humidity values only. So we want to get temperature and humidity values. How to get temperature and humidity values? To get temperature and humidity values, we have to access temperature. For example, if you want to access 32, you have to access by using key. You have to access by using key. So this is S. Suppose S of temp should give you temperature. So means by using the key, we can access value. Remember, all of you, by using the keys, we can access the values. Okay. So I'll be doing that now. So if you see here, JSON response, raw data, in this COORD is a key, and this is the value. Value is a dictionary here. So our interest is in temperature. Where is temperature? This is a temperature. So here we have a key main. In the dictionary, temp feels like temp min, temp max, pressure, humidity. So I'll be reading temp and humidity. For doing that, we have to use, we have to access the values in the dictionary. I'll be doing that, all of you here. So temperature is equal to S of main. Okay, so first we have to go to main. So main means you'll be coming to this particular dictionary. So S of main will print this particular dictionary. Once it prints the dictionary, again this is a dictionary. In this dictionary we want to print temp. So to access temperature values, you have to mention this key temp. Okay, so to do that, you will be using here temp. Okay, so temperature. So you can print here, print temperature. Right, same way you can print humidity also. So now you should get temperature, separately. So now you will see here 305.15. Actually, this temperature is in Kelvin, all of you. We have to convert that into degree centigrade. We know how to convert that into degree centigrade. Okay. So I'll be showing you that, how to do this. So you have to subtract with 273.15 to convert Kelvin into degree centigrade. And then I will comment this print. Okay. Now print humidity also. So print humidity. So how to get the humidity? So we have to get humidity. Humidity is equal to S of main, and then humidity. So we got humidity also. You can print here, print humidity is H, right? Okay. So now you can run this and you will get both temperature and humidity values. So you should get both temperature and humidity values, all of you here. So temperature 32, humidity is 62. Okay, so you can check these in real time in your mobile app also, it will be showing the same. So we are getting them here. Okay, so even you can get cloud information, rain information. So once you have all the data, okay, what you can do is you can use this data maybe for controlling irrigation pumps. Okay, maybe scheduling irrigation pumps you can use, or maybe you can use it for gardening your college campuses. Okay, you can do that. So there are numerous applications, because based on this data you can control your pumps. You can add some intelligence also. You can extend this. Okay, so the task today, I'll be giving a simple task to all of you. So I'll be closing this now, and then we'll be doing more exercise tomorrow. Sorry, because I did not cover all today. Okay, sorry for that. So I'll be covering tomorrow, if possible, everything through hands-on. So today's assignment, because it doesn't require Raspberry Pi for doing this. Okay, because if you have Python in your computer, you can do that assignment in your computer also. So today's simple assignment is, along with temperature, humidity values, please try to get rain data, wind speed. Okay, is that fine, all of you? So simple assignment, try to get temperature, humidity, rain data, and then some cloud information. Try to do that. Okay, wind speed also you can measure. So thank you for all your participation. But so it's good if you can interact with me. Okay, so right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Dispense. Any queries?
Sir, I have one query, sir.
Yeah, sure, please.
Sir, can you show us how to interface a sensor to a Raspberry Pi module and record some information?
Sure,
in a real time?
100%. I'll be showing that. Okay, tomorrow we'll be doing that for first 10 minutes. We'll be doing that. Okay, so is that fine? First 10 minutes I'll be doing that. Okay, real time data. So we'll be interfacing sensor and
Yeah,
we'll be doing
that day with that data, if you can show us where that data can be taken as an input for any device
yes.
and do the next processing based on that input.
Sure. We'll be doing that, and we'll be sending the data to the ThinkSpeak and IBM Cloud also. We'll be doing that tomorrow. Okay. So tomorrow's session will be more engaging, because we'll be sending data to ThinkSpeak Cloud as well as to IBM Watson Cloud Platform. Okay. Right.
Any doubts from participants we can ask?
So the questions can be from anywhere. So if you are doing research, enrolled in PhD, or if you are already done PhD and trying to get DST project, or maybe you don't know how to get funds. Okay, for what type of product, topics I'll be getting the funding or where to do the research, and you are struggling. You are doing research from 6 months and you are not getting results. Don't worry. So let me know if you are doing research and not getting results. If you have such type of problems, okay, you can ask me. I'm here to help you because most of you are interested in smart sensors and IoT. Okay.
There is one more doubt, sir. How to choose a correct Raspberry Pi module for my project? Because there are so many Raspberry Pi modules which are available. There are so many in the market, right? So how can I choose that this is my this module will be up for my requirement?
Okay. So nice question. So here, my answer is very simple. Raspberry Pi Zero works very well with our simple applications. Okay, you can buy for 2000 Raspberry Pi Zero. If you are working with a sensor integration, if you are only working with sensor integration, okay, no need to go with the Raspberry Pi 4, with 4 GB RAM. Okay, no need to buy that. Okay, if your application is simple, no worries. You can go with the Raspberry Pi Zero, the first one. Okay, but if you want to do some computing along with the so suppose you want to design edge device, you want to design your own gateway, and you want to store data. Okay, so you want to capture images also, and you want to process the images, you want to run TensorFlow, or you want to run some image processing software like OpenCV, then my suggestion is go with the Raspberry Pi 4 if you want to do some deep learning with the IoT. Okay, remember, if you want to combine IoT with the deep learning or some machine vision algorithms, then my suggestion is go with the advanced Raspberry Pi because it helps you to run your application smoothly. Okay, otherwise, if you go with the older versions, there is a problem with them. You will be getting some problems while executing these algorithms. Okay, maybe OpenCV also will give some problems if you do continuous streaming of your video. Okay, so my suggestion is it only depends on computing. So if your computing is more is required, then go with the advanced version. Otherwise, if you are just reading the data and you want to upload the data to some cloud, go with some simple sensor. Raspberry Pi is at all not required if you want to sense only sensor data. Okay, you can go with 400 rupees Node MCU also, ESP based module, or there are 200 modules also, right, for research.
Sir, one more doubt, sir. Actually, right now I'm having Raspberry Pi 1 with me. Right, tomorrow after doing everything, uh, I thought that my Raspberry Pi is not supporting. So I need the features which are there in Raspberry Pi 3. So is there any possibility we are adding an additional hardware to get those features instead of changing the complete Raspberry Pi?
Sure,
Can we
100%.
interface like that?
Yes, 100%. We can do that. Okay, so it depends on your application. For example, you are working with Zigbee. Suppose you are working with Zigbee, and your Raspberry Pi doesn't support Zigbee, means it doesn't have that additional add-on, but you can buy a Zigbee module and you can add. Okay, for example, you are working with the LoRa, but LoRa is not present in your Raspberry Pi. Yes, you can buy a LoRa module and you can interface. There must be some circuitry between Raspberry Pi and LoRa for interfacing. Okay, so you can buy add-ons. There are many things today available to add on with the Raspberry Pi. So there are hats available. Sensor hat is available. LoRa hat is available. Okay, for robotics, there is a robotic hat for Raspberry Pi is available. Okay, so there are so many Raspberry Pi, hats which are add-ons are available today. You can buy and try with them as add-on.
So there is one question, sir. After writing code, what are the commands we have to follow for save and seeing output?
In a nano editor, right? You are talking about
Yes,
nano
sir.
editor, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
you have to, yes, okay. You have to use Control O. Okay, so to save means that is to write to the file, Control O, and then it will be asking you whether to save with the same name or different name. Generally, the name that you have given will be appearing. Okay, then you have to say, press enter if you want to save with the same name. Okay, otherwise you can change the name and you can press enter so that it will be saved. Once it is saved, then you have to press Control X. Remember, Control O, enter will help you to save. Control X will help you to come out of that nano editor into your
Yes, sir.
Linux terminal. Once you enter into the Linux terminal, now we have to run the program that you have written in the Python. So to do that, you have to use Python space the file name. File name can be gvp.py, hello.py, but you have to use
Whatever
Python.
we can.
So
Okay.
Python is for if you want to run that application is Python 2, then you have to use Python. If you want to run that application in Python 3, then you have to use Python 3. So far today example I have shown you how to run that in Python 2. Okay, is that fine?
Yes, sir. Sir, now how to actually we wrote one program using while loop, and the
Okay,
program is running continuously. Now, how
okay.
to stop that program?
Simply press Control C for termination.
Control. Okay, okay, okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Need out from participants. You can also unmute yourself and you can speak if there are any doubts.
Participants, please unmute your cameras.
So Sajid Sheikh, you have a question, right? API free or charge? Okay, so API is free for for some extent, not free for all. Okay, remember that. Okay, so all the companies are providing freely for developers only for exercise. Okay, only for trying to understand. Okay, but it is not for free. Is that clear to you, all of you? Yes. Yes, you can ask if you want to ask more questions. You can ask me. So I'm here to help you, all of you. I'm here to help you. See, I know that most of you are even doing some research. Okay, so I'm here to help you. Okay.
Bapuji sir,
Yes, madam.
please stop your screen sharing, sir.
Okay, okay. Right.
Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation. It was extremely informative, sir. And this session is remarkable, sir, and well received by all our participants. And participants really enjoyed the hands-on session too. We hope to see you again in the tomorrow's session, sir. Similar kind of session we are expecting from you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, madam. Thank you so much. So, yes, tomorrow will be more engaging. Okay, we can enjoy tomorrow's session. Okay, so all of you, please try to go through all the links. So I will try to share to madam. Okay, so the sign-ups. Okay, you try to sign up and try to complete those sign-ups so that it would be easy for you tomorrow. Okay, to work with everything. So I'll be sharing the links with Krishnaveni madam.
Sir, please unmute your.
Okay, okay.
Sir, మాట్లాడుతున్నారు.
Yeah, you can hear my voice, right? Right? Can you hear my voice? Um, right. So all of you can hear my voice, right? So all of you, tomorrow's program will be very useful, and I will be explaining you how you can use this smart sensor technology and IoT together for getting funds as well as for publishing research papers. Okay, so 3 months is enough if you work as what I say tomorrow. So go with that direction, and it is very easy for you to get PhD or to get paper published in SCI also. Okay, we'll be discussing that tomorrow. So tomorrow's 10 to 15 minute session will be on that along with the hands-on. Okay, thank you. All the best, all of you. For tomorrow, we'll be waiting for tomorrow. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Next session will start at 12 p.m.
Kabul Kumar sir,